Hello, in this video we're going to look at Venn diagrams, but to begin with we're going to have a quick review about some number facts. So what we can see is that square numbers are formed whenever you multiply a number by itself, and the numbers go from 1 to 4 to 9. The next few would be 4 times 4, which is 16, and then 5 times 5 is 25, 36, and so on. The cube numbers occur whenever you multiply a number by itself 3 times. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 cubed is going to be 64. 5 cubed, 125. 6 cubed, 216, and so on. If we're trying to think about factors of a number, we try and find all the pairs of numbers that multiply up to it. So a factor divides evenly into the starter number. So 1 times 24 is 24, so 1 and 24 are both factors. 2 and 12. We'd also have 3 times 8 and 4 times 6. So the factors of 24 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, and 24. Multiples of 6. So think about multiplying 6. So they're all the numbers that appear in the times tables of 6. So 6 ones are 6, 6 twos are 12, 6 threes are 18, then 24, 30, 36, 42, and so on. And prime numbers are numbers that have only 2 factors. So there's only 2 whole numbers that divide into the number. And generally we consider it to be itself and 1. So 1 is not a prime number, but 2 is the first one because 2 and 1 divide into 2. Then 3 is the next one, and 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, and so on. Moving on to Venn diagrams then. Venn diagrams are a way of sorting data, and the overlap between them shows values in common. So normally we'll put them inside a box, and we'll have 2 circles, one of which contains the first set of values, and the second circle represents everything in the second set, and the overlap between those contains the values that's the overlap. So if we're trying to sort the first 20 integers, so remember integer is a whole number, into the odds and square numbers. So the first circle is going to be odds and the second circle is going to be the square numbers. And everything outside will not be an odd number, and it will also not be a square number. And the overlap will all be the odd square numbers. So we'll go through in order, and number 1 is an odd number and it's square, so it's going to go in the overlap. 2 isn't odd and it isn't square, so it's going to go on the outside. 3 is odd. 4 is a square number but not odd. 5 is odd but not square. 6 is not odd or square, so it's going to go on the outside. 7 is odd and not square. 8 is even and not square, so it goes on the outside. 9 is an odd number, but it's also a square, so it's going to go there. 10 is even and not square. 11 is odd. 12 is outside. 13 is odd and again not square. 14 is even and not square. 15 is odd and not square. 16 is a square number, but it's not odd, so it's going to be on the right hand part of its circle. 17 is odd. 18 is even and not square. 19 is odd. And 20 is even and not square. So that's our numbers 1 to 20 sorted into odd numbers, square numbers, and we can see that the numbers 1 and 4 are both odd and square. Our next example, we've got 130 tourists from a cruise ship visiting Northern Ireland. 42 visit the Giant's Causeway, 52 visit the Oma History Park, and 50 visit the Titanic Quarter. 14 visit both the Giant's Causeway and the Omagh History Park. 12 visit the Giant's Causeway and the Titanic. 10 visit the Omagh History Park and Titanic, and 7 visit all three. So to show this information on a Venn diagram, the way we do that is we start from the middle and work our way out. So we've got 3 different venues here, so we're going to have 3 circles, or circular shapes really. We're going to say that this first circle is the Giant's Causeway. The second circle is the Omagh History Park. And the last one is Titanic Quarter. So we've got the total as well should be 130. So I'm going to put that number outside the box. We know that 7 visited all 3, so it's going to go in the overlap between all 3, which is there. Then working back, we know that 10 people visit the Omagh History Park and the Titanic Quarter. So the overlap between History Park and Titanic already has 7 in it. We need it to make up to 10. So we're going to put 3 in here. Then the next piece of information is 12 visit the Giant's Causeway and the Titanic. So the overlap between Giant's Causeway and Titanic is here. We've already got 7 already, which means we need to put 5 in here. And then 14 visit the Giant's Causeway and the History Park. So that's our overlap between the Causeway and History Park. We've got 7 already, we need 14, so there's going to be another 7. And then to work out how many are remaining in each circle, we go to the next bit. So 50 people altogether visit the Titanic. So this whole circle should be 50. So far we've got 15. So then we're going to need 35 in the Titanic part. 52 have visited the History Park. So far we've got 17. So then if we take 17 from 52, we get 35. So 35 people visit only the History Park. And then 42 visit the Giant's Causeway. We've got 19 altogether already in the Giant's Causeway. And to get that up to 42, we need 23 people. So then 23 visit the Giant's Causeway. Now, if we add up all these numbers together, we may find they add up to 130, or we may find that they don't. And if they don't, then that means that the rest of the numbers are outside of those 3 circles, so they didn't visit any of the Titanic Quarter, the History Park, or the Giant's Causeway. So whenever we add those numbers together, we get 115. So there's 115 people altogether in the circles. We need it to go up to 130, so if we do 130 minus 115, we get 15. So that means there were 15 people that didn't go to either of them. So how many people did not visit the Titanic Quarter is the first question we're looking for. For that, we look at all the people who didn't go to the Titanic. So that's these 23, and these 7, and the 35, and the 15. So adding those numbers together, we get 80 people. And part C, how many people visited only 2? So again, what we need to look at is the overlap between only 2. So these 5 visited 2, the Giant's Causeway and the Titanic. These 3 visited the History Park and the Titanic. And these 7 people visited the Causeway and the History Park. We don't include these 7 because they visited all 3, and these other 3 values visited only 1 location, and these 15 didn't visit any. So if we add 7, 3, and 5, we get that 15 people only visited 2.